Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got another save file update video for you today, but first let me say thank you once again, and this time for 4,000 subscribers. This is so crazy to me, and I just want to let you guys know that you're making my dreams come true, and I'm so happy to have this community in my little corner of the interwebs. And second, I just want to give you guys a little disclaimer. I had recorded this video with a real-time voiceover as I was working on things and placing stuff and decorating the save file, but when I went to edit, surprise surprise, the audio was completely non-existent for some reason, and I had no idea while I was recording. I recorded for a really long time and the audio just wasn't getting recorded, I guess, but without further delay, let's get into the video. So for the most part in this video, I'm just going around the Foundry Cove neighborhood and filling up the empty areas with some deco buildings to make it look somewhat like a kind of old town center up the street. I'm trying my best with the assets that the game has to offer to make it look as close to a real Pacific Northwest town as I can, which based on some of the images I've found online to use as references, I think this is pretty close. It's kind of hard when I haven't ever seen these places in real life. I've only ever seen them online and in pictures and movies and video games and stuff, and that's all I really have to go off of. I'll probably finish up this neighborhood's surroundings and builds completely before I move on to the next neighborhood, and I think that'll help keep me organized and keep things moving as smoothly as possible. So I'll do Foundry Cove first and, do the backdrops, do all the deco buildings and landscaping and stuff, and then I'll move on to the next neighborhood, etc. So as you can see, I'm using the tool mod to move some of the things around and place everything off the lot. The best way that I've found so far to do this is going through the catalog and finding all the objects that I want to place, which takes me ages of browsing through it. Then I place all the objects on the lot that I'm building on, and from there I can go back to live mode so I can move freely and use the tool mod to duplicate and resize stuff like trees, rocks, shrubs, etc. I'm already very familiar with the tool mod in build mode. I'm not super familiar with the tool mod in live mode. It's a little bit different, but using it in live mode makes it so you can move freely and you're not just locked into the lot that you're working on, so it's easier to do it that way for what I'm doing. But since I'm not so familiar with it and I'm kind of learning my way around how to use it in live mode, I was clicking on individual objects every single time I had to toggle the active object, and I didn't realize you don't have to do that. But after a while of playing around with it, I kind of figured out that I can just click on the next object that I want to manipulate, just like in build mode, so it's not that bad. So this video was originally a lot longer, but I had to kind of edit it down and speed it up a little bit since the original audio was missing and it may be a little bit tedious to watch it without the real-time explanations of everything. So first I had started out by landscaping a little bit around some of these buildings that I put in to make them look a little bit more like they fit into the world and aren't just popped up there in the nothingness. I go through a few different types of trees throughout this video, and even after I was done recording, I did end up going back in and changing some of the pine trees I used because I wasn't super happy with how uniform everything was looking. So far that's been the biggest challenge that I've faced, is placing all the trees everywhere sporadically and making them look as natural as possible, and then making sure that I resize some of them so they're not all looking so uniform as if it's the same tree just copied and pasted over and over. I placed down this debug motel from the Werewolves pack because I really love the way that it looks and I think that it fits into this town really well, and I kind of messed around with the placement of it and where I wanted it to go, and I ultimately decided it looked right in this open field area behind the neighborhood. That little farm stand next to the motel is a built-in object that doesn't go away with the hider mod that I use, so it has to stay there, which is fine because I do end up adding like a little food trailer type of thing over there, so it'll be like a football field with a little like food trailer vendor area. I placed some more buildings to make it look sort of like there's an old post office or town hall kind of thing over here. I have the little ice cream shop and the little red gift shop that looks exactly like the type of place I think you would see in a town like this. I had to fuss around a little bit with the tool mod over here to try and get these two buildings to look like they were meant to be attached to each other. So yeah, I kind of had to fine tune it. And then across the street I added a few more random deco buildings that I thought would fit into an old downtown strip. I got these functional CC soccer goal items from Stepsid. Folkling had made a little soccer field in their save, and I thought that it was actually a really cool idea to have something that's actually functional back here in this field and fill up the space a little bit. I really like this lakey area over here, and I added this live edit building from, I think it's the Cats and Dogs pack, because I think it was perfect for this spot. It makes it look like a fishing hut slash boat rental kind of place. And then I went and surrounded it a little bit with trees and ferns. I put the ferns near the bases of the trees for the most part for now, but obviously everything you see in this video isn't exactly what the final product is going to look like. I have a lot more background stuff to add to it and, you know, fill the place up and make it look more lively and stuff. I really want to try and focus on this save file and work on it as much as I possibly can in the coming weeks because I would love to have it ready for release by fall. I think that's the perfect time for it and it'll really help add to the cozy vibe I want for it. Placing all the landscape objects is a little bit of a challenge in the sense that I feel like it's hard to make it look natural and organic. In my eyes, it almost winds up looking a little bit messy and too intentional, but I don't know, let me know what you guys think about that or if you have any ideas on how to make it look more natural and foresty. But it's almost like there's too much empty space between all the trees or something, and then it just doesn't look like what a natural forest would look like. But I'll definitely go back in and add more ferns and some more like variations of trees and shrubs and stuff. Most of these areas are really just going to be background decor anyways, unless you're using this mod that makes all the worlds clickable to actually get all the way over there. But for the most part, for normal gameplay, you're not going to be going to these areas, you're just going to be seeing them in the background and they're just there to add the vibe, you know? I added a little speed build to the end of the video here after I got worn out from all the landscaping and placing stuff everywhere. You guys have already seen this house in the last video I posted because I had the screenshot of it up while I was talking, but yeah, I wanted to make a little empty starter house kind of place. So there's no lore, at least not for now, about this house because I don't think it'll be for any of the families that I have planned. It's probably just gonna stay a vacant little starter home for you guys to move new Sims into the neighborhood. I used a picture from Zillow for the reference, and it doesn't actually look true to the picture. It's kind of a loose reference. I took my own direction with it, but I liked the basic shape and idea and the sunroom from the picture. I'm planning on making this neighborhood into kind of a mix of rundown and put together, if that makes sense. So this one is like a newer house, not really run down at all. But I did end up making it pretty overgrown at the end to make it obviously vacant and unkempt. I also realized while I was editing this that I forgot to add the kitchen and bathroom, and I only did like the floor plan layout, so I'm definitely gonna have to go back in there and do that. This house ended up being kind of close to base game. Obviously there's some other like pack items and stuff, but I'm gonna try and keep a lot of the shells at least as close to base game only as possible, but I do own all the packs, so I don't really want to restrict myself too much, so just keep that in mind whenever you're downloading this. Someone commented on my last video about the houses in the Pacific Northwest being mostly wood siding and stuff like that, and there's not a whole lot of stone or other materials that we may be more used to in other parts of the country, mainly because of the lumber milling and stuff over there. And I also feel like, from what I've seen at least, a lot of the architecture over there isn't super historic because that part of the country is a little bit younger than the eastern side of the country. And if you guys don't know yet, I am from the Northeast originally, so that's what I'm most familiar with and what my builds are mostly inspired by. They're all very New England and East Coast suburban vibes for the most part. And in the Northeast, we do have a lot of variations of material and architecture styles, especially since a lot of the homes are really old and they've been updated, so we have lots of vinyl siding and brick homes and stuff like that. Alright, so I think that's it for today's video. I'm going to leave you guys with some lo-fi music for the rest of this speed build and probably some screenshots at the end. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and stay tuned for more. I'm going to get a little bit more done this week for sure. I think going forward I'll break up some of these videos and I'll do some that are like a talk through behind the scenes type of video, and I'll do some that are just speed builds of the homes that are going to be in the save file. And when I do those, I'll talk about the families and like the lore and stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! If you enjoy my content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, and Patreon to keep up with everything I post. Big shout out to all of my awesome Patreon supporters, you guys are the best.